Week 15 of the 2025 NFL season saw major injury news as Patrick Mahomes and Micah Parsons both tore their ACL. They're going to be out for the season. Devontae Adams is dealing with a hamstring injury. He may miss some time, and it is completely altered going to the NFL playoff picture. That's what we're going to talk about today as we recap Week 15 of the 2025 NFL season. As always, we are in collaboration with the one and the only Voltage Live. My social media links are in the description below. And I did not get to catch a lot of football this weekend because I was flying back and forth between John Cena's last match. If you want to see my unfiltered emotional reaction and my feelings towards that whole event, make sure to go check out Brandon's Word on audio or video. But today, we're just going to spend some time talking about what happened in Week 15 of the NFL, looking at the playoff picture. Then on Thursday, we'll make my Week 16 NFL moneyline picks and bets. We're going to do that only on Tuesday. We're going to do, picks for Week 16. We're going to do best bets for Week 17 the following Tuesday. So we're not going to have a show on Christmas. Of course, this coming Friday is the Brandon's World Merry Christmas special for 2025, where we break down all of the biggest happenings in sports throughout the entire year. So we have a lot of content on deck for you guys. So again, today will just be a quick one on NFL recap. Thursday we'll do Week 16 picks, as well as we will talk about the college football playoff. I'll make my official prediction for all of those games. But Patrick Mahomes being out for the season, what does that mean for the Kansas City Chiefs dynasty? And of course, over the last few weeks, there's been a lot of questions. Is this the end of the dynasty? And I said, you gotta beat the champ to be the champ. You gotta kill the Chiefs dynasty. Now, New England, you could technically say maybe their dynasty ended in 2008, but that was when Tom Brady got hurt week one. They had two parts of the dynasty. I think we're looking at Kansas City now and their run from Super Bowl 54 all the way from Super Bowl 59. Five Super Bowls in 6 seasons. That was bigger than the New England first part of the dynasty, making three straight Super Bowls. And now this year it's going to be different. It's going to be refreshing. But this Chiefs roster came in with the attitude of, hey, we're not that far off. We're just going to run it back. And from the Rashid Rice suspension that started the year, the Xavier Worthy injury, they were unable to run the football. The first 2 weeks of the year, they lose against the Chargers in Brazil, then they lose to Philadelphia in the Super Bowl rematch in Kansas City. They start 0-2, 6-6 since then, but really, ever since they picked up that Week 8 win in Washington, the only game they won the rest of the year was the game that Daniel Jones and the Colts fumbled away. And it was just one of those things where the bounces just did not go right. They did not get protection at the offensive line. And it just felt like it's one of those years where, okay, maybe we need to reassess some things. Travis Kelce probably going to retire. Maybe they go out and they get a younger tight end because I don't think Noah Gray could be a tight end one. Maybe you move off or even trade Chris Jones. And, it's sort of like, okay, like New England had Brady Belichick. We have Mahomes and Andy Reid. Now, Belichick was younger at the time of the New England dynasty than the Kansas City dynasty currently is with Andy Reid. So they are working, in my opinion, with a little bit of an adjusted timeline because of what Andy Reid has left. I don't think Andy Reid may not even have 5 years left of coaching in the NFL. And this will be Andy Reid's worst year in the NFL since he was fired in 2012, ironically, after 14 seasons in Philadelphia. Guess what? This is season 13 in Kansas City. Next year will be season 14. And year 13, Andy Reid with the Chiefs, or excuse me, with the Eagles. They went 8-8. Very possible the Chiefs could go a little bit worse than that. Even, 6-11, 7-10. Now for Green Bay, the Micah Parsons injury obviously hurts. I thought they were a Super Bowl team before the year, even without Micah. Obviously, Micah has been the guy that has opened up a lot of Quay Walker and Rashawn Gary on the edge for that defense, which is still very good. Jordan Love in that offense is a little bit inconsistent for me. I'm very disappointed in Matthew Golden, the rookie wide receiver out of Texas. I still think they need a big play guy, and they just don't have it. So I'm looking at the playoff picture right now. And in the AFC, you got Denver as the one seed. You have New England as the two seed. Bo Nix, Drake May, both second-year quarterbacks. Denver's got the offensive coach. New England's got the defensive coach. Denver's got an excellent defense, though. They do have a Super Bowl legitimate defense. Bo Nix has had that one playoff game last year where they went to Buffalo, did not play well, but he got that playoff experience under his belt. I think Denver may be peaking, and they are probably the favorite, even though they've played some bad teams not very well. They've been starting to play better, in my opinion, over the last few weeks. In the AFC South, a division that once looked like it belonged to the Indianapolis Colts now belong back to the Houston Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Along with Denver, I think the Texans have the best defense in the league. Um, I mean, listen, Philip Rivers played tremendous for Indianapolis on Sunday, gave them a shot against Seattle. The Seahawks had to kick 6 field goals at home. Weirdly, Seattle does not play well at home. They actually play better on the road. I am a little worried about Sam Darnold here this last month, starting to regress back to the mean for them for Jacksonville as they just destroyed the New York Jets. Trevor Lawrence is all of a sudden on a heater. He's playing the way he should have played as the number one pick in that 2021 NFL draft. William Cohen is going to get two AFC South representatives into the playoffs. There's going to be two representatives from the AFC West, that being the Broncos and Chargers, who I think all but sealed their playoff representation. Um, you know, with that win in Kansas City, we'll see if Justin Herbert can get over the perennial playoff hump. There's going to be two representatives in the AFC East, New England and Buffalo, which Josh Allen just puts on his cape. They're able to run the football with James Cook. They're able to get one or two timely stops. I think Buffalo, though, has to win by being physical. They have to win by shootout. They don't always come prepared. And for Buffalo, for years, they couldn't get past New England and Tom Brady and Bill Belichick in the dynasty. Brady leaves, Josh Allen ascends. Here they are 5 straight years. Then they can't get past Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And now, Mahomes and the Chiefs are having a down year, and New England's back in their way again. Kind of ironic there. There's going to be one representative in the AFC North. Bengals looked like they quit yesterday. I think Joe Burrow is starting to feel the pressure of always being the savior. I've defended Zach Taylor for years. I don't know how much longer I can defend him. It may just be time for a restart, a refresh in Cincinnati. And this is one of the rare occasions that I actually think I would go after a Robert Saleh or a defensive minded head coach for Joe Burrow just because that defense has been so bad for so many years. I think you find a good offensive coordinator. I think Joe Burrow is very Peyton Manning-esque, as in he could run the offense. That's how much of a superstar quarterback I think he is. Again, I think Mahomes could do that. I think he's benefited from Andy Reid, but I think Mahomes could win with a defensive coach. Josh Allen is winning with a defensive coach. I certainly think Joe Burrow could. And in the NFC, Matthew Stafford and the Rams continue to dominate. The Lions' defense is leaking oil. They are now at 8-6. They're probably not a playoff team this year, and even if they are, they'd have to win out. I don't know if they could go to Chicago week 18 and do that. That was a pretty much a must-win game against the Rams, who Devontae Adams did have a little bit of an injury scare, but the Rams are peaking at the right time, and I would argue so are the Eagles. Yes, it's the Raiders, but that's the first time the Eagles have played good in legitimately 2 months. Build some confidence here with Washington twice and then at Buffalo down the stretch. To me, it looks like the two best teams in the NFC are still the Eagles and the Rams against Seattle. We'll see how well they play Thursday night against the Rams in Seattle. That's the biggest game in Lumen Field, arguably since that 2013 NFC Championship game, with the comeback led by Russell Wilson. I really like what Caleb Williams is doing with the Bears. I just feel like all Drake May in New England, they're probably a play or two away on defense. We'll see what they do with DJ Moore in the offseason. I certainly think they need to upgrade their secondary a little bit. They need to upgrade their pass rush. Carolina losing to New Orleans and Tampa Bay both losing to Atlanta this weekend. I'm not going to say it's turned the NFC South upside down. It just made the NFC South, more weak than it already has typically. The Saints may feel like they have found their quarterback in Tyler Shough. I'm not so sure about that for Atlanta. Kirk Cousins just always plays well against Tampa Bay, it seems like. And the Bucks, I don't know if Baker Mayfield is hurt or not, but I do know that they are not the same team. Mike Evans came back, but they are not as explosive. Defensively, they're giving up big plays. And Carolina, I don't know if it's just the Saints have the Panthers number or not. I believe that the Saints now have 4 wins, three of them, two in Tampa, two against Carolina. Wait, do they have? No, they beat Tampa once. They beat Carolina twice. That's 3 out of their 4 wins, along with the Giants, have come in their division. They match up with Tampa Bay one more time, I believe, as well. So the NFC South is pretty much going to be all decided on the field. That winner will go to the first wild card, which will either be them hosting Seattle, which I think Bucks Seahawks would be a really good game. We get to see Seattle go to Carolina in a couple weeks as well, or the Bucks hosting the Rams, which I think the Rams would be a bad matchup for either of those teams. Carolina and the Rams in a rematch from a couple weeks ago. Yes, Carolina played well, but I think in a playoff environment with Bryce Young, that would not bode well if Seattle were to somehow win that division. San Francisco's still hanging around in there. Again, they've been sort of buried. They've been playing bad teams like the Browns and the Titans, who, again, the Bears yesterday just beat up on a bad shit over Sanders. I just feel like the Niners are too banged up defensively. They don't have Nick Bosa. They don't have Fred Warner. And they're just not as athletic offensively. They're a very Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle dependent team. You get Brock Purdy off his first read. That's what have you. So, again, I feel like the AFC is more wide open. I think the NFC is better at the top. Patrick Mahomes' injury. Obviously, Terrell's the Chiefs' plans for not only this year but next year. How are they going to retool that roster? And again, the one thing that Brady and Belichick did benefit from in New England, Bills, Dolphins, Jets. Almost every year, incompetent, incompetent, incompetent. Dolphins had the one year where they won the AFC East when Brady was injured. You had the Jets with Mark Sanchez go on those 2 runs the AFC Championship game, but they were never, a competent organization. Denver with Bo Nix now, 10 years. Justin Herbert, Jim Harbaugh, very confident that's going to last a decade. Vegas is the worst team in the league, I think. They may even be worse than Tennessee. They have absolutely no fight left in them. I thought Pete Carroll would at least study that ship. That obviously did not happen. So, we'll see. We'll go from there. But that's what I'm thinking of when it comes to week 6 or week 15 in the NFL, right? The two biggest stories. Mahomes is hurt. Micah Parsons is hurt. The end of the Chiefs dynasty. The impact of Micah Parsons' injury on the NFC playoff picture. And we'll dive into week 16 when we get back on Thursday. Like that clip from the Brand's World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brand's World podcast right here on YouTube.